It's Miss Celeste here, and we are now making it to week 3, part 12 of our journey through ECE 101. So congratulations on all your accomplishments and all the time and efforts that you're putting in to, really just kind of broadening your knowledge and getting some great resources for you to use later in your teaching environment. So this week, I just wanted to kind of touch on lesson plan design and really trying to meet the needs of all children and how we do that. So before we get started, though, I am going to just give us a few reminders of discussion threads, making sure we're doing those replies by Saturday. Journal blogs are due Saturday, creating that newsletter. Our assignment that is due Sunday is an essay in regards to the NAEYC standards. In addition is a teaching hours and reflection and our live session reflections that are extra credit. So I just like to go over this many times just to support you in your time management and just making sure that we are accomplishing each of these areas so you can be successful in this course. Again, if you have any questions in regards to any of these assignments, please reach out prior to the due date so together we can have enough time allotted to have you turn these in on time, okay? All right, so week 3, course objective 12. So the goal is for you to be able to demonstrate your knowledge of educating children with diverse needs and also understanding the role of lesson plan design. There's going to be many opportunities for you to create your own lesson design just in your journey through teaching. Every school is different. So some schools will give you lesson plans or maybe a guide or things you need to follow. But then there's going to be opportunities for you to create your own lesson plan and guide for your classroom. So I just want to, kind of add to your confidence and give you some resources on how different lesson plans are out there and just areas that you need to include and why you need to include those areas so we are meeting all the needs of all children because they are all different. So questions to reflect on would be lesson plan design among a diverse group of children. And that's really the goal here of what we should always strive to create. So how do you support all the children? How do you support diverse learners? How do you support creating that lesson plan that will do that? So in many situations, there is no one size fits all, as I always say. So lesson plan is ever changing. You will have moments that you follow it completely. You will have moments that you need to divert to other directions. So what I always would encourage, which I'll speak about in a little bit, is just more plan Bs and Cs and Ds and just kind of having that support. So supporting the diverse needs of children. So the ways that we could do that is creating lesson plans that show that you have a plan for the day and for the week. So really just spending the time creating that plan first and foremost. What are you going to work on? What are you going to focus on? What's your theme? What different materials or lessons that you're going to present or become available in the classroom? But I would always encourage that if you have anything new in the classroom that you present it many times so children know how to use it and work with it before they're able to have it available on the shelves or in their space because we want them to independently be able to choose, but in order to do that, they need to know how to use the worker material. Other ideas are mapping out the specifics, meaning in parts of the day. So it could be circle time, morning meetings, small groups, independent play, outdoor play, and so on. So your day can all differ. but just kind of mapping what you're going to do at each time. And also including the transitional aspects. So if you're moving from, say, morning circle to, say, snack or work time, like how are you transitioning the children to each of those? Because there definitely should be a smooth transition in doing that. So I would incorporate that in your lesson plan of what you're doing. What song are you singing? What movement are you doing? Just what is the procedure of what's happening? Because then that also feeds onto your other co-teachers or assistants in the classroom, so they all know what's happening. So the lesson plan is definitely the map to support what's to come for all the teachers in the classroom. So you guys are all doing it together. Another point is just responding with flexibility and creativity is a must, but also including as much detail in your lesson plan really shows intention. It really shows you have a plan. It shows ideas are there. So that's why lesson planning and writing it down is important, but flexibility and creativity, because like I said, there's going to be moments that you're going to need to do maybe more music in that moment, maybe including a book or, including, a longer work period. So just having that flexibility to do that, that's okay. So anytime I would, write lesson plans, I would also implement those what ifs, right? And so having extensions to different areas and ideas kind of written down that I can divert to if I need to is really important and was really helpful and kind of easy anxiety as well for all the teachers. And then also just being open to new ideas as the children needs, that may change or they're all different as they're growing and learning. So also incorporating them to suggest some, changes to maybe circle time or including them in the process is also really fun. Finding, easy ways to connect with each child individually and applying changes if needed. And really just understanding that we all learn different. So lesson plan, like I mentioned, is not a one size fits all. So it's ever changing, but having that meaningful, lesson plan really shows intention and preparation, which is really important to have and do as a teacher. So lesson planning can all differ, obviously, depending on the different ages of children. So just to kind of touch on a few areas. So infants, your infant lesson plan will be most individualized and most, really focus on the developmental milestones compared to the curriculum with other age groups. So infants develop at such a rapid rate that aged differences of only a few weeks can translate into a different, goals. So again, it's ever changing with them and it's just really happening very quick. Toddlers, same idea. It is always continuing to change, but when writing lesson plans for toddlers, prioritize flexibility and being kind of open-ended with things. Toddlers may be happy doing the same activity over and over again, and that's also okay. So I always encourage revisiting lessons and new, activities and songs, and they love repetition, over and over. And they really have fun with that. Also, when it's familiar and maybe they've grasped the full song or the understanding of a new material, it's really exciting for them to be able to perform it, at their pace. And then the preschool lesson plan will mostly reflect your philosophy on early education. So while play-based learning is one of the most common approaches, there is a wide spectrum of what that means and how you represent a lesson. So this kind of feeds into, depending on what your school's philosophy is, and kind of aiding to and guiding and leading with that approach. So say it's Montessori, or an example in a preschool classroom, you might see the different areas of the classroom, the sensorial, the practical life, the geography, the science, the botany, you know, in all the different areas, all have different material available for each child to use. And it's just constantly being rotated depending on each child's need. So again, that's how it's different in terms of that. And then the lesson plan will then focus on those areas and emphasize different new material or themes or geography focus, science, etc. So again, depending on your classroom philosophy, it can all differ. So typically, you know, each design can be different and still be great. So this is just kind of an example of really focusing on the developmental domains. So this person created a weekly lesson plan and just kind of mapped out what they're going to do in each of the different milestones pertaining on different days. They also included, you know, the dramatic play, the science, the math, writing, library, blocks, and art. And so again, you know, it just kind of depends on the age and what you're working on. You know, I really like this lesson plan, but yet I definitely would apply more of the outline of the day per se, in my opinion, and then incorporate these just so I kind of know when these are happening. So when I'm talking to my other teachers in the classroom, we kind of know when this is happening on like a scheduled type lesson plan. I would encourage. But again, I'm just trying to show you different versions of lesson plans. Here's another one, you know, again, pertaining for the week. And again, you can do lesson plans for the month. It's really up to what your school allows in terms of kind of planning ahead in that sense. I always encourage planning ahead, but having the flexibility to change and have other options because as the children are growing, though, those can change as well. Here's another a lesson plan I really like. So again, this one's specifically for toddlers. And they again have the different, you know, the stages and milestones listed here. But they also have a lot more detail in like the art area, dramatic play, social emotional aspects, the small group activities, what they're singing, what games are they doing. So I really like these kind of details as well, because again, it's helpful for the other teachers to kind of know what they're doing at different times or what they're leading. So that's something that you would then go over in your teacher meetings to just make sure that everyone's on the same page. Some in-class strategies. So as I talked about transitions, it's important, you know, especially with toddlers or preschool, incorporating transitional songs. So when you call the kids to the story time, provide a song that is related to the lesson. That's really fun. Ask your children to do some movement while you listen to the song, and that also keeps it fun and engaging. So when they're being able to do different things, you know, is really fun to incorporate. And it's also better to just be able to, you know, start singing a song and then they kind of know what's happening next instead of using your voice in other ways. Also teaching the kids listening signs. So, you know, so instead of only telling them, you know, to sit down, teach them to sit down after you clap your hands 3 times or however it is in your classroom, but having listening signs is helpful instead of always using your voice to ask them what to do if it's something that maybe you're doing over and over and over. And again, this is probably pertaining to more older children, not toddlers or younger. You know, because I would encourage, you know, words so they understand at that age. But if we're talking about older children, when they know what's expected or they know the routine, it's important to just have different options. So, and then another is just keeping, the children moving and allowing breaks. So limited time sitting. Sometimes I would go into classrooms and I would see, circle time happening for a very long time. And the children are at that point very restless and wanting to get up and walk around, but yet the teacher is really expecting them to sit there. It's just not practical. So I always say, stop it before it stops itself. That's always something that I would tell the teacher. So if you see that maybe the children have sat long enough, then maybe move on to the next thing. That's where the flexibility, the creativity comes in, because you will then need to shift to something else. Despite the time or the schedule, you just have to have that option, especially with toddlers. Other areas I just wanted to touch on when it comes to lesson planning and just planning overall as a teacher, the time management aspect is very important because we all know that each day is very different. And each day just brings on new greatness and new challenges as well. So just having effective ways of managing that is important. So I just kind of, shared a little bit here of tips of maintaining a good time management. So such as, schedules of activities with responding times. So that's kind of relating to your lesson plan. Of course, we want to keep to the lesson plan, but at the same time, it's not going to go that way all the time. So then again, reflecting at the end of the day of what worked and didn't work would maybe help ease the next day and plan accordingly. Provide enough time with everything you expect to happen. So although you might list all these things, they may not all happen, or maybe they will, but how are you going to make them happen? So really plan it out so it's practical. Avoid rushing, since you have carefully allotted, this required time. Try to enjoy the moment, enjoy the lessons, enjoy the time with the children, enjoy, teaching them and observing them, and just, because that should all be part of the lesson plan as well. Observation is a big one that should definitely be in your lesson plan during your work time. So that other teachers who need to kind of walk around and support the classroom, so you're able to do that, is something that I would communicate during a team meeting and part of the teaching plan. Other ideas would be being flexible with certain assignments. And what that means is, obviously we have goals. So say you have not completed lesson plan for a week, the next week or the next week, or you haven't completed, I don't know, maybe a parent teacher conference is coming and you just have a lot of writing to do with that. Just really be flexible with your time. Maybe ask for some support, say if that's from your supervisors or your teaching team in the classroom, just so everybody together can create a helpful plan to give you more time on that. The more you're communicating, the more that you're transparent, really is helpful to get the support that you need. And sometimes I find that some classrooms may feel a certain way, but yet maybe not express it as often as they should. But I would encourage you to express that, because there's so much happening in the school all at different times that not everybody knows what is specifically happening to you at that moment or that day. So please, communicate that. It's healthy and it's okay. And then also just set examples by showing that you are time conscious, that you respect the part of maybe turning something in on time, or submitting your progress reports, or submitting your lesson plans or newsletters or whatever that is. And being the example of that is really important to everybody around you. So some tips of just what I think it would be helpful. Maybe at a later time, I'll kind of dive into other areas of teacher planning, because I really do feel that that is a core area in what we do every day. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. I hope it was really helpful. Because again, next week, we're going to create some lesson plans that you are going to share with your peers. Please don't be nervous about that. I'm more than happy to meet with you one-on-one if you need some support with that before we meet as a group. But I'm excited to see all your activities that you would implement for your lesson plan and why you would implement those. So please be creative as you want and just have fun. And that's really what that assignment's about, okay? So until next time, will be part 13 of week 3. I'm excited to see you then, but please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.